네, 여러분 안녕하십니까?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to meet you.
발족식
Welcome to the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network launching ceremony. My name is Kim Yi, and I am pleased to be your mistress of ceremonies today. I would first of all like to begin by thanking everyone who has come here despite their busy schedules. And of course, I would also like to greet our online participants. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. We may not be physically in the same space, but we would like to make sure that our online participants would also feel as if they are part of this energy and this entire experience. As you know, Gangwon Province is the only divided province in the world, and if we can have the voices of hope spread far and wide for peace here, we believe that it will be a rousing call around the world. And today, for this call of peace, we have joined here once again at the PyeongChang Peace Forum 2022 to announce the launching of the GIG, or Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. For this launching ceremony, we have invited the representatives and the co-chairs of the participating countries in the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee. I'd like to ask you kindly to stay with us until the very end. For that, we would first of all like to invite Younggil, who is an advisor for future strategies for Gangwon Province, to tell us a little bit more about the context behind the founding of this network. Please welcome him to the stage, and please greet him with a big round of applause.
His Excellency, Governor of Gangwon, CHOI, and Honorable Chairman of Gangwon Legislative Council, Mr. Doyoung, and Reverend Soohyoung Lee of Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network, and many respected dignitaries and ladies and gentlemen. This is my great honor and pleasure to give you a brief background of how Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network has come into existence. It was in 2019 when the leaders of Geneva Institute for Leadership and Public Policy made a visit to Gangwon to meet with His Excellency Governor CHOI and the leaders of the province, and to make a visit to DMZ and to have a conferences and meetings. And when they visited DMZ and saw the only province that's been divided between South and North Korea, and how hurtful it was to them, and they came to realize the importance of cooperation among international partners and the government of Gangwon and both Koreas. So that's the background of how the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network has come into being. So leaders of Geneva Institute were invited to PyeongChang Peace Forum since 2020. There, the public diplomacy, the concept was introduced, and it has become an important factor in PyeongChang Peace Forum. And in the process, and in between annual conferences, Geneva Institute leaders and other partners invited Governor CHOI to Washington, D.C. to visit the Cedars, and also had a wonderful chance to visit the White House to meet with the assistants of the President Trump and the State Department and many leaders. So it's a development that we have gone through with the global community. In fact, before, the province of Gangwon has been quite separate from global community, even in an effort to develop inter-Korea relations. Obviously, we have a group which put efforts to bring two Koreas, two Gangwon, into cooperation. But quite often, that cooperation is focused on Inter-Gangwon, Inter-Korea, and with neighboring countries. Now we have come to realize that Gangwon should develop cooperation with global communities in a larger scale. Now in 15 countries, there are Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee in operation, and more countries to join in coming days. And the United Nations organizations like World Food Programs and the UNITAR, that is UN Institute for Training and Research, has been with us. So we have come to realize that we need such a network to bring to Gangwons and also global communities. Hence, Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. We like to make this a UN agenda. I believe that you know a great human initiative that's at the place when the Duman River crosses and intersects with 4 different countries. That includes North Korea, China, Russia, and Mongolia. So it has become a UN agenda, meaning global community together with the area. You know, they want to see peace and prosperity taking place. So one of the clear visions that we want to pursue in Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network is to make Inter-Gangwon initiative as a UN agenda. And we believe that we need such a place like Goseong, city of coexistence, where the people in both Koreas stay together, interact together, travel together, and international people who visited Korean Peninsula will have a free pass and a free trade in that area. So the city of Goseong, the city of coexistence, is one of the very important agenda of Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. This network is the very first public diplomacy initiative by Gangwon province. We have never done that. This is the very first public diplomacy initiative. What happens in Gangwon, especially in both Gangwons, has a deep significance for the peace in the world. And this network is just born. So please keep warm hold of it and grow with it. And let's do together with global communities for the peace of Korean Peninsula and the world. And thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity given to me. Thank you.
네, Yeonghan
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee Younggil, who is an advisor to the provincial government of Gangwon, who has just told us about the context of the founding of the network, and he has also said about the promotion of peace between the 2 Koreas. And to do so, we have to engage not just the 2 Koreas, but the neighboring countries and the world. This network that is being promoted by Gangwon-do Province is very significant indeed.
다시 한번 좋은 말씀
Thank you very much to Mr. Lee for his insightful remarks. Next, we'd like to hear from Lee Soohyoung, who is the chairman of the Global
무대로 나오셨는데요.
Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. Please give him a big round of applause.
멀리서 이렇게 함께 오셔서 너무 감사드리고
I would like to thank everyone who has traveled a long way to be with us today.
강원도와 협력하고 또
Gangwon Province wants to engage with
세계적
partners around the world in a spirit of local governance and work towards peace and cooperation and unification for the 2 Koreas. And through this, we can expand our support base globally and contribute to the promotion of peace and unity here through this network. Gangwon-do will be at the center of this,
이름으로
which is why we have launched the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. Thank you very much, and God bless you for coming to this launching ceremony.
적극적으로 물심양면으로
We have truly had so much support from many people
최문순 도지사님
Of course, I would like to first of all acknowledge the remarks and the appreciation of the governor of Gangwon Province, Choi Moon-soon, and the speaker of the Gangwon Provincial Assembly, KWAK Doyoung, as well as Choi Yeonghwan, who is the ambassador for international relations. Thank you very much for all your support.
좀 전에 우리 인터강원
And we've also heard
토를 말씀해 주신
from Mr. Lee Younggil, the advisor to the provincial government of Gangwon-do. Thank you very much. We also have many distinguished guests who will be joining us online, who have sent in their videos. Art LINDSLEY, Chair of the USIGCC, Executive Director David Beasley of the UN World Food Program, as well as the representatives and co-chairs of Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee partner countries around the world, which number about 15.
협력하고 함께 하나 되도록
We have also worked together with the Christian Association of Gangwon-do Province, an established network of about over 3,000 churches and faith-based religious organizations. Thank you to all the pastors and ministers of these organizations. The GIG Cooperation Network has been established as a non-profit under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it has been established to foster peace and unification for the two Koreas, and also to try to bring in people, influential people around the world as a part of the cooperation network. And through this, we can engage in public diplomacy together through this platform. We have presences in about 15 countries, including the US. We have inter-Gangwon cooperation committees in each of these 15 countries. And here locally, we are continuing to cooperate with major organizations and partners. We have the governor, Choi Moon-soon, with us today, KWAK Doyoung, Speaker of the Gangwon Provincial Assembly, Choi Yeonghan, Ambassador for International Relations, and David Beasley, Executive Director of the UN World Food Program, Art LINDSLEY, the Chair of the U.S. Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee, as well as chairs from China, Philippines, Israel, India, Singapore, and elsewhere who have sent in their congratulatory remarks by video to share with us their vision forward. And through this, through the launching ceremony, we will promulgate our actions and our intentions overseas. Going forward, we will engage in cooperation not between the two Koreas and the neighboring countries, but also with partners around the world on peace and unification, sports, culture, and arts, and also engage in openness with the two Koreas in Gangwon-do, and also particularly work for the successful opening of the Gangwon Province Winter Youth Olympics in 2024. I hope that we can all pool our spirits and our hearts together for the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. I hope that we can all cooperate together to that end so that we can create great things and great deeds for all of us. I'd like to ask all the pastors and the ministers and the heads of various organizations to be with us together as we launch the network.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman Lee Soohyoung, for your warm words of greeting. And as he has mentioned, the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network, I hope, will expand out as an important public diplomacy platform going forward. In order to congratulate the launching ceremony of the GIG network, we have three distinguished guests to deliver their congratulatory remarks. Let me first invite our first speaker, Governor of Gangwon Province, Choi Moon-soon. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
네, 오늘 세계 인터 강원
Ladies and gentlemen,
출범을
I would like to extend my congratulations on the launching of the GIG Cooperation Network with all of the residents of Gangwon Province. I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Younggil. Thank you very much for all of your efforts. And also Chairman Lee Soohyoung. Thank you very much. I would like to express the gratitude of the provincial residents on their behalf. He also leads the Christian Korean Association and also put together prayer events with all of us to wish and hope for the goodwill and welfare of residents. Once again, thank you very much for all of your prayers. We have those from Gangwon province and those that have come from other provinces. But you may wonder, what does Inter-Gangwon mean? So as you know, between the two Koreas, there are two areas where we share the territory. One is Gangwon and the other is Goseong. As you know, Gangwon is divided into two, both north and south, and Goseong County is also divided, both north and south. And you may wonder what this all implies. But if you go to North Korea,
호텔에 이렇게 호텔 밖을 잘 나가지 못하죠.
you really cannot leave the hotel that often if you are in North Korea, but I do roam around, and the reason why that can be possible is because if there are any security guards trying to stop me, I would say I'm from Gangwon province, and for them, I kind of look like a North Korean person, so what would happen, North Koreans, so the security guards would not stop me. But I'm pretty sure that Chairman Soohyoung, if you go and say that you're from Gangwon, from North Gangwon, I don't think they'll believe that, but when I am in the north, they think that I am a North Korean. And when we bring our soccer clubs, our youth soccer clubs to the north for various events, we say that you should go, you should roam around, you should enjoy yourself. Because you are true residents of Gangwon, whether it be north and south, north or south. So I just wanted to once again emphasize the background of the network. And we also have another governor, Park Jung-nam, who I call a strong man, in Gangwon.
우리 남강원도 인구가 155만.
We have about 1.5 million that live in the south of Gangwon, and in the north we have 1.5 million as well that live. So I think that if we do go for a vote, I might lose. Gangwon province is also the land of war. Even before the Korean War, in the 38th parallel, we already had that divided nation. And what happened was once a war broke out, the North Korean soldiers immediately started to attack Gangwon province. And if you look at the number of deaths, it was second in the south. Compared to the population in Seoul and Gyeonggi province, it's true that they have much more people living there, but Gangwon province was second in terms of the number of casualties and deaths because most of the battles took place in Gangwon province, and we did not have enough strong army. So what would happen is the youth would go immediately to war. It was the same case for my dad. He had to train for just a week and went out on the battlefield, and that led to many deaths. We saw many missing soldiers, casualties, injured, and even after this division, it was true that many went to the Abai village and Gangwon province because once they want to go to their hometown as quickly as possible. But you can see that in the process there was a lot of animosity, a lot of fury that summoned itself in Gangwon province. But with the PyeongChang Winter Olympics, I think that we can say that this province is not just a land of confrontation or animosity. I felt that it can be a region or province of peace. And with Dr. Younggil and many distinguished guests, we were able to expand this initiative to Washington, D.C. and other parts around the world to launch Global Inter Gangwon Cooperation Network. And the agenda of this network is one of a kind, and we had many that were supporting this initiative. So once again, thank you very much for all of your support. And I particularly hope that it can be tabled on the UN agenda. And as you know, in just 2 years, the Gangwon Winter Youth Olympics will take place in 2024. And if you look at the name, we've titled this as Gangwon Winter Youth Olympics. The international community and IOC wanted Gangwon province, both north and south, to host the Youth Olympics. So that's why the title was Gangwon than any other name. And what we want to do is to host this with Wonsan of North Korea. And just recently, during the Beijing Winter Olympics, we've also delivered officially our proposal to the North Korean delegation there. I would like to ask all of our leaders here present today to encourage our efforts so that we can once again achieve the miracle of the PyeongChang Winter Olympics. And through Gangwon province, I truly hope that we can solve the many issues on the Korean Peninsula. Thank you very much for your support.
네, 도지사님
Thank you very much, Governor Choi, for your warm remarks.
축사 말씀으로 오늘 펼치시게
With the congratulatory address, you have
말씀하신 것처럼
stressed upon the significance of today's launching ceremony. We do have the pain and the wounds of war here, but we can also hope for peace in this very land as well. We'd now like to hear from Doyoung, the Speaker of the Gangwon Provincial Assembly. Please give Speaker KWAK a big round of applause.
네, 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. 강원도
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to meet you. My name is Doyoung. I'm the Speaker of the Gangwon Provincial Assembly.
발족을 온 도민과 함께
On behalf of everyone here at Gangwon Province, I would like to extend my congratulations to all of you on the launching ceremony of the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. I would like to thank Chairman Soohyoung of the network, as well as everyone else who have worked tirelessly for the launching of this network. Thank you very much. I know that there have been many challenges down the road, so thank you very much for working tirelessly for the launching of this GIG Cooperation Network. And of course, I would also like to thank Governor Choi, who has just left the room. I believe he is very busy and attending to another schedule, but I would like to thank the governor and all of his staff for their tireless efforts. PyeongChang here continues to be a place where peace resides. And here in PyeongChang, we continue to dream and hope for peace. And that is very evident in the launching ceremony of the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. I believe it's very significant that we are hosting this here. In contemporary history and modern history, we know that, and we have seen how the issues and incidents in one place can impact the surrounding region.
현안들 또한
We know that is also true of the many issues and incidents that impact Gangwon Province right now.
협력이
To resolve these different challenges, Gangwon Province also has to engage in partnership with many different partners. And in that regard, I believe that the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network is very important. We can look at different measures to resolve our challenges, but also create a base of support for peace and reconciliation and unification for the two Koreas. I'm sure you know, but the Gangwon Winter Youth Olympics
남북 강원도의 협력과 교류
can engage in exchange and cooperation with the two Koreas and the neighboring regions if we can have the joint hosting between the two Koreas.
함께 애써주신다.
From the private sector side, if you can also lend us your support, I do believe that that will be a significant help to all of us. Through this launch, I hope that more and more partner organizations will work towards the peace of the Korean Peninsula and the promotion of the Gangwon Province.
다시 한번 오늘 발족식을
Once again, I would like to extend my congratulations to you on the launch of the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network, and I wish you all health and happiness. Thank you very much and congratulations.
네, 곽도영 의장님 다시 한번
Yes, Chairman and Speaker of Gangwon Provincial Council, thank you very much for your words. As he's mentioned, we do have many pending issues. We have that of Gangwon. We also need to promote peace. And also in 2024, as mentioned, we're trying to engage in a joint hosting of the Gangwon Winter Youth Olympics. So we truly do need cooperation, and I hope that this launching ceremony can serve as a platform for us to continue on with our cooperation to solve the many challenges. Next, we have a congratulatory message sent from afar. We have the chairman of Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network in the U.S., Art LINDSLEY, to deliver, who sent his video message. Let us all watch his video.
Join you on the inauguration of the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. I've been chairman of the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee in Washington, D.C. for the past year. We've been working to assist the PyeongChang Peace Forum and facilitate connections between North and South Gangwon Province. I'm glad to see the past cooperation between North and South at the 2018 PyeongChang Winter Olympics. We're hoping to continue that at the 2024 Winter Youth Olympics in PyeongChang. We also hope to see a continuation of the work that returns the bones of deceased soldiers in the DMZ. This has been a moving example of cooperation between the two countries. It's especially exciting to see 8 countries join this network: Germany, Switzerland, Philippines, Bolivia, Indonesia, Israel, and Mongolia. These past 2 years have made it difficult to travel to Korea because of COVID restrictions. We hope that there can be personal interactions with these various countries in Gangwon Province in the near future. I'm also glad to interview David Beasley, the Executive Director of the UN World Food Program. He was the recipient of the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize for the UN World Food Program. He's glad to be with us again at the Peace Forum to update us on the status of world hunger. The lack of food is a significant source of conflict around the world. David says that food is a weapon of peace. We hope that the UN World Food Program will cooperate with the Gangwon province in providing food for North Korea. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you.
네, 감사합니다. 여러분 박수 한번 주십시오.
Thank you very much, and please give him a big round of applause. We've just heard from Art Lindsay, the chair of the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee in the United States. We've heard from so many distinguished guests with their congratulatory remarks, and many people are truly hoping for peace in this region and elsewhere. I do believe that the future is bright for all of us. We now have a talk that we would like to show to you, and this conversation is between Art Lindsay and David Beasley, the Executive Director of the UN World Food Program. We'd like to now watch the screen.
This is Art Lindsley, coming from Washington, D.C. I wanted to give a couple quick remarks before I introduce our guest here, David Beasley. I particularly got involved with this, and I'm now co-chair of the PyeongChang Peace Forum. When back in 2019, I was with the governor on a trip to the DMZ, and we signed an MOU with Governor Moon-Sun Choi and Geneva Institute for Leadership and Public Policy to cooperate together on peace and reconciliation, particularly with regard to the poor. And of course, our issue of hunger really fits in very closely with that. And I believe that the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee, which will be particularly inaugurated at this PyeongChang Peace Forum, is something that we got going here back in Washington, D.C. a couple of years ago. And now it's going to have international branches in various parts of the world. We're excited to see that. I'm also on the steering committee of Geneva Institute for Leadership and Public Policy and on the board of Global Hope Network International. So I'm particularly excited here to have David with us. He comes with us for the second time. He was with us last year, and he's going to give us an update on the situation throughout the world. I think one of the things he talked about back when we first came is that food is a weapon of peace. And we particularly want to focus on the place of hunger and the situation here as a way of really addressing the issues of conflict throughout the world. First of all, David, thank you for being here. I really love the fact that you're able to make time for us again this year.
Art, it's always good to be with you. Thank you very much for allowing me to be on the program.
All right, David is the Executive Director of the UN World Food Program, and he's former governor of South Carolina and winner of the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize for the UN World Food Program. The UN World Food Program is the largest foundation, largest humanitarian organization in the world. Its budget in 2020, and I believe I've been told in 2021, was $8.4 billion. You can correct me on this, David, if I'm wrong, but I want to just focus on a few questions in relation to this issue of hunger. First of all, what's the situation on hunger throughout the world? As I remember last year, the number of people that were in severe hunger, really close to starvation, were somewhere around 80 million, and that grew in 2020 to 130 million. What's the situation now with regard to people in severe danger of starvation or hunger?
Yeah, Art, a couple of years before COVID came on the scene, the number of people not chronically hungry, that's a different discussion, but literally marching toward the brink of starvation, that number was 80 million people around the globe. That number jumped from 80 to 135 million. And so the question would be, what was causing that spike in hunger? And the simple answer was man-made conflict and two, climate shocks around the world. COVID comes on the scene, and now because of COVID, the number is literally doubled from 135 million now to over 285 million people marching towards starvation. And within that, you've got 45 million or so on famine's door as we speak, Art. And by the way, the financial numbers for 2021, our budget, we raised $9.6 billion. And quite frankly, sadly, I'd like to put the World Food Program out of business. We're going in the wrong direction right now because of all these crises that we're facing. And we actually have a $6 billion gap this 2022 year because of the perfect storm of climate, conflict, and COVID. And you can imagine what's happening with supply chain as well as price spiking going on with commodities and shipping costs and things like that. So it's a really, really bad time.
Yeah, you've already just mentioned it, but what's the relationship between COVID and the economic downturn? Is that you seeing that significantly happening throughout the world?
When you look at the fact that we were 135 million marching toward starvation, and it literally went to 285, there was only one driving factor there, and it was COVID economic ripple effect along with supply chain disruption. You know, when the United States sneezes, most poor countries catch the cold. I mean, the economic ripple, when we slow our economy down, or Germany and the Europeans slow their economy down, it has a devastating impact, compounded with the fact that there were lockdowns around the world, supply chain disruption. And so it has been absolutely devastating to the poor economies, poor countries, low-income countries around the world. And so we're having to double up and try to do everything we can to help these nations in this crisis mode, because if we're not there with the support they need, one of three things, or all three things will happen. One, there will be starvation. Two, there will be destabilization of the nations. And three, there will be mass migration. And Art, the cost of destabilization is 1,000 times more than us going in and providing the food for people to give them stability and hope, versus also migration is at least 100 times the cost for the people we're talking about. So it's a lot cheaper to go in advance, address root cause. And COVID, hopefully it'll be behind us at the end of this year. But until then, we're all hands on deck, and we've got to stop the crisis that we're facing in dozens of nations because of COVID.
Yeah, one of the things I came across where there are some 43 countries where you're particularly working where starvation is or hunger is a very high rate. Is that correct, or correct me on that?
Well, we've got about 83 numbers where we're doing a serious program, but there are 43 nations right now that have what we call IPC level 4. IPC level 4 is knocking on famine's door. And you can imagine when you've got that, and every one of these 45 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. So that creates, one of three things, or one of all three things, and that is starvation, famine, death. Two, a destabilizing effect politically becomes a nightmare when people don't have food, and it destabilizes. And then you have extremist groups that exploit that, and that becomes an issue in itself, whether it's Al-Qaeda, ISIS, extremist groups, or political extremist groups. And then the third is, of course, mass migration. When people don't have food, they don't have any degree of security or food, they will leave to save their children's and their families' lives. It's just logical. Anybody would. It's no different, no matter what part of the globe you're coming from,
I think that this year there's been a real focus of many people on Afghanistan and what's going on there. And I believe you still have work there. Have you met with the Taliban? What's going on there?
Yeah, Art, if there's a country that is hell on earth, it's Afghanistan right now. We're on the ground there. We hope to reach about 12 million people this month in February. I have been meeting with the Taliban because they control the access in the country and de facto as we speak. And so we have, just like any country, we sit down with whoever is in charge of access. So we've had very frank, very blunt meetings about don't get in our way. Let us do what we do. Give us the impartiality, the neutrality, the independence that we need to operate. And again, we do this in war zones, conflict areas all over the world, so we know how to do this. And quite frankly, they have honored our requests and are protecting our warehouses, because out of 42 million people right now, there are 23 million marching to starvation. I mean, in IPC 3, 4, 5. Out of that, 8.7 are in IPC level 4 at famine's door. You can see it's crisis mode. I've been meeting with families, mothers, and to hear the heartbreaking stories of mothers saying, I don't have the money, and if I do, I have to choose between buying cooking oil and therefore freezing my child to death, or buying heating oil and starving my child to death. Or we're selling one of our children in hopes they have a better future, where I can take that money and buy, food or heating oil for our children. It is absolutely catastrophic. And if we're not careful, you're going to have mass migration, which will cost at least 100 times more than the price tag that we're talking about to reach the 23 million that we need to reach at 50% rations now is $220 million per month. Per month. Do the math. And so we're in a crisis mode, Art, as we speak. And when you consider that, look at Ethiopia and Sudan and Yemen and Syria, you begin to see why we're $6 billion short. And so where is that money going to come from? You go take it from the children in Ethiopia or the children in Yemen? It's a very difficult spot to be in, as you can imagine. When you don't have enough money, we have to choose which children eat, which children don't eat, which children live, which children die. It's not fair to ask us to make those type of decisions, especially when there's $430 trillion worth of wealth on earth today. No child should be starving to death. It's just absolutely preposterous. But anyway, Art, we're all hands on deck in Afghanistan.
Thank you. One of the things that will be of particular interest for people in South Korea, but also throughout the world, are you able to get food into North Korea? What's the situation there?
Yeah, we have been in North Korea, had a long-term operations there, and quite frankly, because of COVID, everything has been shut down. And we were sort of the last operating humanitarian organization in the country. And finally, all things came to an end. And so hopefully when COVID makes the turn and North Korea opens the doors back again, we're prepared and ready to go in and help the people in North Korea as we would in any place where there's need.
Thank you for that. How are you able to raise money for the World Food Program? I don't think it's endowed by the UN, and you've got to raise it, what, through governments and private individuals? What is it?
It's a voluntary contributions. And you can imagine when you got to raise 9 or 10 billion, and like this year we need about 15 billion. How do you raise that amount of money? So when I arrived 4 or 5 years ago, we were raising about $15 billion a day, per day, 365 days a year. And my goal was based upon the needs and the crisis was to raise $1 million per hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're now raising $26 million per day, but Art, and that's wonderful. But because children we're keeping people alive, 125 million people we reached last year, but we're short. And because of all the crises, the perfect storm, I want to be going the other way. I want a less budget, having to reach less people because people are being taken care of and they're feeding their own families. But we're in a really perfect storm that we've got to work ourselves through. And if we aren't careful, we could really, really destabilize the planet. It's a very fragile time right now around the world.
This is perhaps a question that's somewhat unanswerable, but how much more do you need? I guess infinite amount to be able to cover the needs of people, but realistically, how much more do you need? What's your goal as to what you would like to face? Because
of the crisis we're facing, Art, to reach 45 million people in IPC level 4, that's about $6 billion right there. It happens to be that's also the gap we have for this year because of the number of people going from 135 to 285 million people that are marching towards starvation. Obviously, it costs a lot to feed that many people. You can do the math on a per day basis. And so we're 6 billion short. I am traveling around the world right now, meeting with the United States, Germany, other major donors to explain the shortfall, what will happen if we don't raise that money, because there are no free lunches. If we don't reach these people, if we don't get that 6 billion, you're going to have destabilization of nations. And again, I can tell you, it'll be 1,000 times more than 6 billion. And if you have mass migration, it'll be at least 100 times. And I can give anecdotal, experiential data on that left and right, because we've been out there for years. And let's give you a simple example in Syria. When the Syria crisis took place, as Syrians weren't getting the food and the security they needed, they fled. Many of them ended up all over Europe. Let's say a study that just came out in Germany, 1 million Syrian refugees in Germany for 5 years, $125 billion. That's over 70 euros per person per day. Our cost in Syria, that same person who doesn't want to leave home, is 50 cents per day.
All right, how can governments help you through public policy actions? I suppose one thing obvious is to allow you access to their countries, but are there other things that governments can do through public policies to be able to help you to accomplish this task?
There are a lot, Art, hundreds and hundreds of policies in so many ways. Number one, giving us flexibility to do what we do best, minimize the red tape, et cetera, the bureaucracy, and give us unimpeded access, make certain that we got impartiality and neutrality, allow us to do our job. And at the same time, let's be practical, and how can we create sustainability? One of the things on public policy that I ask donors, just giving people food is not the long-term solution. Obviously, if it's a short-term disaster, that's one thing. But it's more complex today with long-term protracted conflicts. And so we want to come in there and create resilience and sustainability so that we're out of there in 3 or 4 years. And quite frankly, the beneficiaries, they want to learn how to fish. They don't want to be given fish. And I ask the donors, give us that flexibility to create, design the programs to not just feed people, but give them self-sufficiency, resilience, so they can withstand shocks, whether it's political, weather, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, one of the groups that I work with at Global Hope Network International is part of a thing called the Million Village Challenge, really trying to bring 1 million villages to sustainability, where they can sustain their own food and nutrition and water and that sort of thing. So just to note that. How can you make sure that food gets into the right hands, gets in the hands of the poor and the hungry versus corrupt actors?
Well, when you're spending $9-10 billion, part cash, food, et cetera, you've got to have systems in place. And we've got very robust mechanisms, check and balance systems in place that anybody would say, wow. So we know that the food goes to the intended beneficiaries. And in certain places, we'll use biometrics, whether it's with the eye, facial, or fingerprinting. It just depends on the situation and where we are each place. But the validation, the systems that we use are very robust and very successful, because our donors want to know that we're reaching as many people and the intended beneficiaries that we want to reach, and food's not being diverted. And so when we run into places, Art, where whoever might be controlling the access to the area, if they start playing games with us and not allow us to do our job, we shut it down. I've done that already in many places, because we cannot tolerate diversion or fraud or corruption. We have to be as transparent, because we're spending taxpayers' dollars, and they're like, why should I spend money over there when we got needs here? These types of logical political questions. And so the systems that we have in place are very, very effective.
Thank you for that. How can people in South Korea, Geneva, or elsewhere in the world give to the UN World Food Program? What's the method by which they can do so?
Well, there's several things they can do, from praying to contacting local leaders to number 3, yes, send money. It can be at WFP.org or share the meal, whatever it might be. And also, don't hesitate to just reach out and help somebody in your own neighborhood. It all adds up. It all makes a difference. And, our goal is to love our neighbor. And that's what we're doing. So when any child around the world is struggling, we have a moral obligation to try to help that child build a better future. So anybody that can help, join us, and we will move out there together to help the most that we can.
We hope that the PyeongChang Peace Forum, the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee, Global Hope Network International, and other groups can cooperate with the UN World Food Program. We really do appreciate your giving us your valuable time at $1 million an hour. That's a pretty expensive proposition. So thank you for being willing to be with us. And I only look forward to some time in person with you.
All right, thank you very much.
네, 린슬리 의장님과
Thank you very much to Mr. Art Lindsay and David Beasley.
세계
And in the end of their conversation, they were saying that there are so many countries around the world who are facing challenging situations and that we have a duty to help them,
뿐만이 아니라
not just in the arenas of food and humanitarian assistance, but it has become more and more clear that there are no challenges that a single country can solve on its own, but that there are so many global challenges that countries have to engage in cooperation to resolve together. And in that regard, this global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network would be all the more significant going forward. Thank you for the talk. Next, we'd like to hear from some other distinguished guests. We would like to hear from Yeonghan, who is an ambassador for international relations for Gangwon Province, and we'd like to hear his remarks. Please welcome him to the stage with a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been introduced. I'm the ambassador for international affairs at Gangwon Province. My name is Doyoung. I began working in my position in January, so I've been working in this capacity for about a month and a few days. So this is my first official event that I'm attending as the ambassador for international relations of Gangwon Province. The fact that this my first official event is the PyeongChang Peace Forum is a great personal pleasure for me. And of course, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this very important gathering. And I would like to say how privileged I feel that I'm giving this address at the launching ceremony of the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. I'd like to thank Mr. Arthur Lindsay, Chair of the U.S. Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee, and David Beasley, Executive Director of the UN World Food Program, as well as all the distinguished guests who are present here today. PyeongChang, which is hosting this launching ceremony, as you know, was also the host of the 2018 PyeongChang Winter Olympics. That was around the time when there was a great spirit for peace for the two Koreas. It was a very significant event that told the world of a possible peace between the two Koreas. So this is a very historic location. The fact that we are gathered here today to have the launching ceremony for the GIG Cooperation Network is a great personal pleasure for me as well. Over the last 30 years or so, I worked at US, Guatemala, Mexico, Kenya, and elsewhere as a diplomat. I represented the Republic of Korea in many different countries, worked with NGOs, companies, various representatives of all walks of life, and they have told me their stories, and I continue to do this today. The GIG Cooperation Network, which is going to be launched today, will engage in many different activities with our partners, and I hope that if there's any way that I can offer my assistance, please let me know, and I will do so to the best of my ability. As has been mentioned, in 2024, the Gangwon World Youth Winter Olympics is going to be held, and my hope is that the two Koreas will be able to host the World Youth Olympics together. If we can have a joint hosting of the two Koreas of the Youth Olympics, I do believe that that is going to be very symbolic and significant for peace builders and peacemakers all over the world. To that end, I would like to thank all of the members of the different Inter-Gangwon cooperation committees, and I ask them for their continued support in the future. And if you need me at any time, please let me know, and I would run to where you are to help assist your efforts towards the GIG Cooperation Network. Once again, congratulations to all of you on the launch of the GIG Cooperation Network, and I hope that we can have an impact on the Korean Peninsula, Northeast Asia, and peace building across the world.
바라겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much.
네, 최영한 국제관계대사님.
Yes, Ambassador Younghan, thank you very much for your congratulatory remarks, adding more significant meaning to today's event. Thank you. And we now have many congratulatory videos that were sent from abroad.
먼저 제가 메시지 보내주신 분들
So let me now call upon the names of those that provided us with the video message. First, we have Chairman of Global Inter Gangwon Cooperation Network in Germany, Andres Winland, and Chairman of Global Inter Gangwon Cooperation Network in Switzerland, Charlie Lamento, Chairperson of Global Inter Gangwon Cooperation Network in the Philippines, Grace Salmon, and Chairperson Irene Squillaci from the Cooperation Network in Bolivia, and Co-Chairman Dan Shaham of SHADE, Chairman Jonsha Munklujagar of the Cooperation Network in Mongolia, and Chairman Rabinder Sachdev, Chairman of the GIG in India, and Chairperson Ibu Hana of GIG Cooperation Network in Indonesia, and last but not least, Chairperson Calvin Chua of the GIG in Singapore. Let us all watch their videos.
Honorable Governor and guests of the PyeongChang Peace Forum. Greetings from the German Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee. It is an honor for us and a pleasure to support the efforts of peace and reconciliation in the Korean Peninsula from Germany. Germany has a history of separation and reunification. In the coming years, we hope to be able to learn from you and with you even more about this today and a so important topic of peace and reconciliation. We congratulate your PyeongChang Legacy Foundation and all who work diligently to make this global initiative possible, wishing you success and patience, because that is what it will take. We from the German committee, just getting organized and starting, want to support and be with you and fully be behind this endeavor. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this historic movement and this historic moment. Hopefully, until we meet again in person, as we overcome this pandemic, our wishes for you are be courageous, be patient, and be prayerful, because that is what it took at the end to make the Berlin Wall and the German Wall fall. Thank you.
Greetings, PyeongChang Peace Forum delegates, Honorable Gangwon Province officials, and His Excellency Choi Moon-san, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charlie Lamento, and I am the permanent representative to the United Nations for the Global Network International and the Geneva Institute for Leadership and Public Policy, based in Geneva, Switzerland, also known as the City of Peace, where 193 nations have appointed their representatives to live and work at the United Nations to advance policies, international laws that make this world a better place. I am very excited about the inauguration of the Global Inter Gangwon Cooperation Committee, and I wish I was in South Korea with you now to kick off this very special event. It is with great hope that we as peacemakers from the international community can play an essential role in continuing the momentum of peace, reconciliation, and prosperity for South and North Koreans. That will also send a message of hope and encouragement to other nations where similar conflicts exist today. As chairman of the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee for Switzerland, I see the committee as a catalyst and facilitator for peace, where we can build an international community of committed peacemakers who are willing to share their time, expertise, finances, so that the peace, reconciliation, and prosperity can become a reality for South and North Koreans, including building a coalition of people and organizations that have a special connection to South or North Korea. We will host public diplomacy initiatives in Geneva that promote cooperation with Gangwon Province to advance peace building and reconciliation activities that involve sporting events, tourism, economic development, and peace-building training, including events that also address other countries where conflict exists so they can share their knowledge and best practices that will contribute to the peace-building process on the Korean Peninsula. As Gangwon Province, also known as the City of Peace, has become a very special place, a sort of holy ground because of its geopolitical and geographical significance. In the lead up to the 2024 Winter Youth Olympics and the 2027 Special Olympics World Summer Games, the Geneva Institute for Leadership and Public Policy, in partnership with the Multilateral Diplomacy Division of the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, designed a unique 2-week training program in 2021 to equip Korean stakeholders and beneficiaries with the skills and knowledge necessary to build on the landmark diplomatic accomplishments of the 2018 PyeongChang Winter Olympics. This training program covers the essential skills necessary to generate momentum for sustainable peace initiatives, sports and tourism diplomacy, international law, and hospitality. The combination of these fields will enable participants to promote the 2024 Winter Youth Olympics and 2027 Olympic World Summer Games as an opportunity for culture and sporting exchange and position it as a next step in securing sustainable peace on the Korean Peninsula. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to join you in this peace-building experiment, and I wish you successful and a memorable PyeongChang Peace Forum that will encourage and motivate all who attend this event to get involved in this life-changing work. Peace to our world, peace to our nations, and peace and prosperity to our...
This is wishing to congratulate our friends in the Public Diplomacy Committee for this tenacity and faithful commitment to peace and settlement of disputes in the Korean Peninsula. This cannot be more relevant, especially as we take advantage of the opportunities of profound lessons we learned because of COVID. This is one of the best times to continue the vision, and the committee can successfully make this happen precisely because of the people that are in the committee. And I believe that this vision can be achieved by harnessing this wonderful time and lesson in our history that we have learned from COVID. Harnessing the academe for its work in making sure that the next generation of our people will inherit the legacy of our public advocacy. Faith communities serving notice that there is an international constituency in pushing for peace and unity that the world, not only Korea, needs at this time in our lives. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Hi, my name is Maria Irene Squillaci from Santa Cruz, Bolivia. I am an advisor for many political leaders in the region of Latin America, working in over 12 countries with congressmen and leaders in government. I have experience in international relations as well as in everything that has to do with public policy advising. It is a pleasure for me to be able to address and to talk about the Inter-Gangwon international cooperation. This organization that really is becoming a committee that is seeking for peace is something that is very interesting for me to be a part of and to help and to reach out to our leaders in Bolivia, to local governmental leaders as well as national leaders in order to establish a deep connection between Bolivia and South Korea for peace and prosperity. I have experience here as well working with Korean organizations all over the world, especially in Bolivia with the universities that there are here, and also with several missions that come as well to do social work and to help. I think it is a great opportunity to establish deeper bonds between these two countries and to help overall improve the quality of life of our citizens. I am very interested in cooperating in anything I can to help the Inter-Gangwon committee be a success. Thank you very much.
Shalom. Greetings from Jerusalem to our friends and partners and colleagues in the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee. I send you greeting from Jerusalem, the city of peace. And yes, we call upon the same thing that you wish, peace here and now. Here in Jerusalem, and me as the founder of JADE, we aim to bring about better possibilities via technology in assisting those in need. And as we know, there are many people throughout the world in places of conflict, natural and man-made disasters that need it. So we believe in cooperation, and therefore it gives me great pleasure to congratulate you in establishing this global network of supporting NGOs that work together to the same goal as you, bringing peace, aid, and better technology to this world to assist each other. So I wish you all the best in the Peace Forum. I wish you all the best in every undertaking that you will initiate, and all the best from Jerusalem. Thank you.
Global Inter Gangwon Cooperation.
I would like to extend my deepest congratulations to all of you on the launch of the Inter-Gangwon, the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network, as well as all the committees. I'm greeting you from Mongolia. I am Munk Jagal. I was born and bred here in Mongolia. I have visited the Republic of Korea several times, and I've always felt that the Gangwon province is the most beautiful, with the most delicious food, and the most hospitable people. I hope that going forward, the two Koreas, Gangwon Province and Mongolia, can become one so that we can have beautiful fruit come to all of us. And I do hope that the mainstream society in Mongolia can closely cooperate with all of you in the fields of politics, economy, art, culture, and sports. And I will do my best to that regard. Thank you.
Dear all, greetings from India. I congratulate you for holding this Peace Forum, the Honorable Governor, the Honorable Mayor, and the Honorable President of the PyeongChang Legacy Foundation. My name is Rabinder Sachdev. I am President of Image India Institute, a new age think tank with mission to promote imagination, innovations, and peace across cultures. And we work in public diplomacy and campaigns across America, Europe, and of course with Korea and in India. Honorable gathering. There's so many conflicts, serious challenges, and stress all around us that the most important, urgent thing the world of today needs is motivation and hope. Therefore, we have launched the Lemonade Party with a mission to boost innovation, motivation, and hope in personal, social, and global affairs. We are not a political party. Our motto is, when life hands you a lemon, make lemonade, which is a common saying in the West often, that when you face a trouble or a troublesome situation, do something, anything, and get over that situation. Make lemonade. Lemonade Party is an integral part of our global Live and Let Live campaign. Our background with Korea, we've been working with Korea for the past over 10 years, multiple delegations, political, cultural, social, educational, leadership training programs and such. One significant achievement we've achieved on policy side is the issuing of a commemorative stamp in honor of the legendary Prince of Ayodhya, Queen Hurwanghok of Korea, by the government of India, which was completely our initiative, and the government of India took notice of that and issued the stamp. What we are planning with GICC in India, we've set up a committee. We have some ex-military generals, some ex-ambassadors, some fashion activists, fashion designer activists, spiritual leaders, amongst others. We will hold discussion to plan out what else. We are also planning to create subcommittees on sports, on youth, and academics. One step that we are thinking is also to arrange route art or souvenirs from the birth village of Mahatma Gandhi and send them to the Peace Forum 24 so that they can be displayed there to spread Gandhi's message of peace and non-violence during PPF 24 and Winter Olympics. We also have two suggestions on Inter-Gangwon cooperation. One, on sidelines of 2024 forum, we propose to hold the world's largest lemonade party, largest number of people drinking a glass of lemonade at the same time. Get that into the Guinness Book of World Records. It will create awareness, buzz, and media curiosity. Also, here, can you get lemons from Gangwon, though in the north? That would add an amazing twist to this possibility. And lastly, to promote Gandhiji's peace and non-violence during 2024 forum, once again, as I said, we could arrange art souvenirs from the roots of Gandhiji, which can be displayed during the forum on the sidelines or at a garden of peace that Gangwon can set up during that time. I wish the Congress all success and I look forward to the outcomes. Thank you.
Your Excellency Governor Moon Soon-choi, Dr. Art Lindsay, Co-Chairman of PyeongChang Peace Forum, Reverend Lee Soohyoung, Chairman of Global Inter Gangwon Cooperation Network, and our respectables, ladies and gentlemen. Peace greetings to all of you from Surabaya, Indonesia. It is a country of archipelago and unity of diversity. I'm Hana Amalia. I'm more known as Mama Hana from House of Love Foundation. We have served the poor and the marginalized groups for more than 30 years and found out that compassion service for the poor has bridged social gap, ideological and racial gaps, which cause so many problems in all countries. By serving together, we can develop peace, love, unity, and harmony. And for the last 20 years, this service has developed into reconciliations, and we started models of reconciliation not only nationally but also internationally. I thank the committee for giving me such a privilege to give my congratulatory speech in this auspicious moment during the launching of the Global Inter Gangwon Cooperation Network. I was in this forum several years, and I was privileged to speak in this forum and also to the university students, and I witnessed great achievement had been made. It is my strong desire that one day we may host this forum, Inter-Gangwon Inter-Korea Cooperation, and between Indonesia and Korea in Indonesia, because Indonesia has great relationship with both South and North Korea. What is more, our president has also been appointed as global peacemaker of the G20 countries. As a closing statement, we do hope that one day we can help organize Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee for Peace Forum in Indonesia. Be peaceful our world, be united our nations, and be prosperous our people. Thank you. God bless you all.
Greetings. My name is Calvin Schwartz from Singapore. First of all, a big congratulations on the inauguration of the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee. This is a very important initiative, and I'm deeply honored to be part of the committee as the national facilitator. For the past 70 years, not only was Korea separated, Gangwon Province, together with cities along the borders, were also artificially separated. If cities and regions are the engines of the global economy, I believe they can also be beacons of peace and diplomacy. So it is with this belief that we at Chosun Exchange piloted the Gangwon Development Initiative back in 2020, a research and development roadmap project for the Northern Gangwon Province. We believe a new form of engagement is crucial in sectors that allow for joint cooperation, such as tourism and sustainability sectors. So how can we actually design frameworks and projects that not only enable dialogues for a diplomatic restart, but also plant the seed for a post-pandemic economic recovery of the region? I look forward to the conversations, exchanges, and projects at the GICC in establishing connections between both sides of Gangwon Province. Have a great PyeongChang Peace Forum.
네, 여러분 박수 한번 주십시오.
Please give them a big round of applause. These were the co-chairs of Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committees around the world. They have sent us their words of encouragement and appreciation. I think that if we all dream together, the dream becomes bigger and could be realizable. all the more. The fact that the chairs of the different committees around the world have shown us their encouragement and support bodes well for the future of the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. Now I'd like to hear from the Secretary General of the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network for his plans and an announcement of the future projects in store for the network.
네, 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. I am Yoo Ha-jong. I'm the Secretary General of the network. I'm going to provide you with some announcements, and these would not be necessarily called new announcements, but I think that this would be a way for us to refresh what we have heard thus far. I would like to tell you about the project plans that we have in store for the network, but before that I would like to introduce the persons that we want to thank. Most of all, these are the two people who have provided some substantial help to our network. Of course, our beloved Governor Choi Moon-soon of Gangwon Province, thank you very much. And our new hope for Gangwon Province, Doyoung, the Speaker of the Gangwon Provincial Assembly, thank you very much. Next, I would also like to mention some distinguished guests who have also provided us with their tireless support but who are unable to be with us today because of COVID-19. Art LINDSLEY, Chair of the IGCC US, and Executive Director David Beasley of the UN World Food Program, who is also a Nobel Peace Prize recipient, who have given us their congratulatory remarks and very insightful comments in their conversations. I would also like to thank the Ambassador for International Relations for Gangwon Province, Mr. Yeonghan, for giving us his congratulatory remarks and also pledging his support to Inter-Gangwon Network. To Andrea Zweland of Germany, Grace Jamin of the Philippines, Charlie Lamento of Switzerland, Irene Squillaci of Bolivia, Dan Shaham of Israel, Joshua Munkjangal of Mongolia, Robin Dar Sartsdebo of India, Ibu Hana of Indonesia, Calvin Chua of Singapore. Thank you very much to all of the chairs of the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committees around the world who have sent us their congratulatory remarks by video. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all of the staff and the different people and all of the stakeholders of the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committees around the world who have sent us their support so tirelessly. This network is founded to encourage private sector cooperation with Gangwon Province, and we will continue to promote development of Gangwon Province and enhance its standing globally around the world, while cooperating to expand support base for peace and unification of the Korean Peninsula, promote cooperation between the two Koreas and Gangwon Province. We are a public diplomacy platform established as a non-profit under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. There are currently 15 Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committees around the world, including the United States, and we are continuously expanding on this membership. Let me brief you on the projects that we have in store for 2022. First of all, from March 28th to April 8th, we will visit the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committees in countries such as the US, Switzerland, and Israel. We will visit Washington, D.C., New York, Geneva, and Jerusalem. And in the US, we will first of all meet with Art LINDSLEY, the head of the U.S. Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee. We would also have a meeting with the U.S. National Prayer Breakfast in the Cedars, also with the DPRK representative to the UN and members of the World Evangelical Alliance, influential U.S. leaders. For the promotion of public diplomacy for Gangwon Province, we want to ultimately impact the U.S. foreign policy so that we can have more exchange between the two Koreas and between the Koreas and Gangwon Province. In Geneva, Switzerland, we're going to first of all meet with the chair of the Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committee in Switzerland, Charlie Lamento, who is an attorney and expert in international law. We will also meet with Bernd Canton, who is a member of parliament of the Swiss Union, who is also part of UNITAR. We will also meet with representatives of the IOC, the International Olympics Committee, to discuss success measures for the Youth Winter Olympics in 2024. In Israel, we're going to engage in measures to connect the Abraham Accords or the Middle East Peace Accords with the Korean Peninsula, especially with the two Koreas and Gangwon Province, and also try to engage in partnership diplomacy to create a breakthrough for peace between Israel, Palestine, and the Korean Peninsula, which are still the two major conflict regions in the world. We'll work with diplomats in Israel and also visit to the Knesset, the Middle East Peace Accords, caucus, and also visit the NGO known as JADE. Our second project will last from June 20th to the 27th. We will invite Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Committees to Gangwon. The countries would be the US, Switzerland, Germany, Israel, India, Singapore, Peru, Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Bolivia, Mongolia, the Philippines, Brazil, and East Timor. We will also host an Inter-Gangwon conference during this time frame to promote cooperation between the two Koreas and Gangwon Province, but also among our partner nations in economy, trade, culture, arts, and sports. Some of the major programs that we are thinking of hosting in the Inter-Gangwon conference is a meeting with the president, visits to the DMZ, and also a Gangwon Province Korean War Memorial event. The goal of this conference and these tours and the visits would be to engage in more openness and cooperation between the two Koreas and Gangwon Province, and also try to create a diplomatic environment for the success of the 2024 Youth Winter Olympic Games. Next, I would like to talk about the two landmark projects that we are thinking of launching in the second half of this year. First, we have the initiative of a city of coexistence between South Korea and North Korea. This is going to be a long-term project that we want to host in Gosong, in the DMZ area. We want to foster more exchange between the two Koreas and Gangwon Province, and to do that, we have to try to create a peace zone where the people of the two Koreas and the world can engage in more exchange in. We will designate a DMZ zone in Gosong as the peace zone. We are imagining a free trade zone and a free pass zone and a free coexistence zone. This project will make use of cooperation with the Chosun Exchange in Singapore and the Global Future Council on the Korean Peninsula at the World Economic Forum, as well as UN organizations. This Gosong Peace Zone would hopefully be the host of the UNITAR Institute for Training and Research and the UNPKO Training Center. We are also going to engage in more diplomatic efforts to try to launch the Inter-Gangwon initiative that is similar and has been inspired by the Great Tumen Initiative. Lastly, to realize this project that I just mentioned, the coexistence city, we would work tirelessly to try to create this Inter-Gangwon issue and have it chosen as an official agenda at the UN level. Exchange between the two Koreas and Gangwon Province would be a very important matter for peacekeeping in the Korean Peninsula. Therefore, having this as an official item on the agenda for the UN will be very important in capturing the global attention. In the second half of this year, we are going to focus on this assignment and build a large, robust support base so that we can have exchange and cooperation between the two Koreas and Gangwon Province as an official UN agenda, possibly install a liaison office, and also at least have some efforts for a peace coexistence zone in Gosong, host some exchange between the two Koreas and Gangwon Province. So hopefully, in the second half of this year, we can have the UN Inter-Gangwon initiative become realized on the Korean Peninsula. And through this, the GIG Cooperation Network will be a very symbolic network. These are not easy goals, but I think that if we engage in more cooperation with Gangwon Province and our partner nations, I think we can reap a good outcome. I hope that the GIG Cooperative Network builds the capacity of Gangwon Province and also contribute to peace and unification of the Korean Peninsula. And hopefully this will also help Gangwon Province to successfully host the 2024 Gangwon Winter Youth Olympics. To that end, I ask for your continued support and attention. Thank you.
네, 사무총장님께서 앞으로 추진해야 할
Yes, Secretary General, thank you very much for giving us information on the future plans. I can see that there's a lot that we have to achieve going forward, but we do need to achieve all this. And with cooperation, I do have conviction that we will make this happen. Once again, thank you very much for your words.
특별한
Next is a very special event, a special performance. It is to wish for the success of the GIG Cooperation Network and also usher in a hopeful future. So we will all be flying paper airplanes. I'm sure that you all see the yellow paper airplanes. Please raise the airplanes. And I would like to kindly ask our distinguished guests on the stage for this event. I would like to call upon your names. First, Speaker Doyoung, Ambassador Yeonghan, Chairman Soohyoung, Advisor Younggil, Director Sang-jin, Secretary General Hwa-jung. Please join us on the stage.
네, 저희가 마음 같아서는 사실 지금
We hope that we, of course, want to have all of the members of the audience to join us on the stage, but due to circumstances, we cannot make that happen, so I do ask for your understanding. But we also have distinguished guests that traveled afar. So in the order of those that traveled the farthest, I would like to ask you to join us on the stage as well. First, from Cheonwon, Chairman Han Gi-ryong. From Hwacheon, Chairman Yuk Byung-ryuk. From Chuncheon, Chairman Ji Tae-sung. Chairman Lee Jong-gun of Sokcho. And Chairman Lee Jong-min of Quebec. Please join us on the stage.
네, 호명되신 분들께서
For those of you that I called upon your names, please join us on the stage for this performance. I'm sure that our audience and all of our distinguished guests all have the same goal. We do want peace, and we all want to achieve this grand vision, and I hope we can fly this paper airplane all together. On the count of 3, please fly your planes. So at a count of 3, please fly the paper airplanes. Are you all ready?
제가 카운트하겠습니다. 그리고 셋 하면
And also, on the count of 3, please fly your airplanes and followed by a big round of applause. 1, 2, 3.
네, 감사합니다.
Thank you very much for joining us.
바깥이었으면 참 좋겠습니다만 실내장이라는 게
It's quite unfortunate that we're not outdoors, but it was wonderful to see all of the planes flying in this venue. Of course, we did that here, but I hope that the plane flies afar so that this message of peace will disseminate across the world. We'll now take a commemorative photo to remember this event. Unfortunately, we all have our face masks on, but big smiles, please. Please face the camera.
네, 사진 촬영 진행하겠습니다.
Let us engage in this photo op all together.
네, 여러분 지금 사진 찍고 계신 분들은 앞으로도 평화
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask for your further efforts to promote peace around the world, and a big round of applause, please. Thank you very much.
네, 사진 촬영이 끝났고요.
Thank you. That ends the photo op. You may now return to your seats.
네, 감사드립니다.
Thank you very much.
네, 자리로 오시도록 하겠습니다.
Thank you. You may now return to your seats.
네, 저희 그럼 이것으로 세계
Yes. With this, we would like to conclude the launching ceremony for the Global Inter-Gangwon Cooperation Network. Thank you very much for joining us despite the cold weather.
드리겠고요. 또 온라인으로 함께
And also to all of our online participants, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.